Om. Om. Om Brahmanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gaganasadrisham Tattvamasyadilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshibhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Satgurum Tam Namami. श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। ॐ श्री कृष्ण परमात्मने नमः। अथ श्रीमद्भगवद गीता नवमोऽध्यायः। राजविद्या राजगुह्य योगः। श्रीभगवानुवाच अनाश्रितः इदं तु ते गुह्यतमं प्रवक्ष्याम्यनसूयवे ज्ञानं विज्ञानसहितं यज्ञात्वा मोक्ष्यसे शुभात्। राजविद्या राजगुह्यं पवित्रमिदमुत्तमं प्रत्यक्षावगमं धर्म्यं सुसुखं कर्तुमव्ययम्। अश्रद्धधानाः पुरुषा धर्मस्यास्य परन्तप अप्राप्य मां निवर्तन्ते मृत्युसंसारवत्मनि। मया ततमिदं सर्वं जगदव्यक्तमूर्तिना मत्स्थानि सर्वभूतानि न चाहं तेष्वस्थितः न च मत्स्थानि भूतानि पश्य मे योगमैश्वरम्। भूतभृन्न च भूतस्थः ममात्मा भूतभावनः। यथाकाशस्थितो नित्यं वायुः सर्वत्र गोमहान् तथा सर्वाणि भूतानि मत्स्थानीत्युपधारय। सर्वभूतानि कौन्तेय प्रकृतिं यान्ति मामिकां कल्पक्षये पुनस्तानि कल्पादौ विसृजाम्यहम् प्रकृतिं स्वामवष्टभ्य विसृजामि पुनः पुनः भूतग्राममिमं कृत्स्नम् अवशं प्रकृतेर्वशात् न च मां तानि कर्माणि निबध्नन्ति धनञ्जय उदासीनवदासीनम् असक्तं तेषु कर्मसु मयाध्यक्षेण प्रकृतिः सूयते सचराचरम् हेतुनानेन कौन्तेय जगद्विपरिवर्तते अवजानन्ति मां मूढा मानुषीं तनुमाश्रितं परं भावमजानन्तः मम भूतमहेश्वरम् मोघाशामोघकर्माणः मोघज्ञानाविचेतसः राक्षसीमासुरीं चैव प्रकृतिं मोहिनीं श्रिताः महात्मानस्तु मां पार्थ दैवीं प्रकृतिमाश्रिताः भजन्त्यनन्यमनसः ज्ञात्वा भूतादिमव्ययम् सततं कीर्तयन्तो मां यतन्तश्च दृढव्रताः नमस्यन्तश्च मां भक्त्या नित्ययुक्ता उपासते ज्ञानयज्ञेन चाप्यन्ये यजन्तो मामुपासते एकत्वेन पृथक्त्वेन बहुधा विश्वतो मुखम् अहं क्रतुरहं यज्ञः स्वधाहमहमौषधम् मन्त्रोऽहमहमेवाज्यम् अहमग्निरहं हुतम् पिताहमस्य जगतः माता धाता पितामहः वेद्यं पवित्रमोङ्कारः ऋक्सामयजुरेव च गतिर्भर्ता प्रभुः साक्षी निवासः शरणं सुहृत् प्रभवः प्रलयस्थानं निधानं बीजमव्ययम् तपाम्यहमहं वर्षं निगृह्णामृत्युजामि च अमृतं चैव मृत्युश्च सदसच्चाहमर्जुन त्रैविद्या मां सोमपाः पूतपापा यज्ञैरिष्ट्वा स्वर्गतिं प्रार्थयन्ते ते पुण्यमासाद्य सुरेन्द्रलोकम् अश्नन्ति दिव्यान् दिवि देव भोगान्। जय गुरुदेव। Bila, you have to unmute yourself.
हरिओम ब्रह्मराजी मेरा I think my this laptop is not responding. I'm not able to see the tab only. Just give me a few seconds or some
I've logged in through instruments and both the audios are on. So you
Yeah,
disconnect
but
one audio, otherwise there is a echo. And
yeah, yeah,
no
I
issue.
know.
If you're having any difficulty, let me know.
Yeah, I because I'm not able to see the tab on my laptop. If okay, no, the audio is off. Are you able
So,
to see the screen?
yeah, we're able to see it. What you need to do is disconnect audio from whichever instrument you're not going to be using as audio. Disconnect the instrument. If you on the laptop, if you're going to speak, keep that audio on your mobile, you switch it off. Switch it off in the sense, not just mute it, you have to disconnect audio. Maybe can I request Dr. Mara to read in the meantime, by before
Yeah,
Bela,
and I have
fixes her
logged
issue.
out from the other instrument, but I'm not able to see my own screen on the
you
laptop.
you
I
just have to
cannot
move
see.
it, move up and down. Doesn't matter. Let Dr. Mara start,
Yeah,
and
then she will,
you can
because
share
I cannot
screen.
see anything on my
Okay.
screen. I have logged out from the mobile. I don't know why my this they are
It's okay.
saying
Let
Zoom
me.
is not updated. So
Doesn't matter.
today,
Let me check it out, Bela. Don't worry.
if the screen is seen, then someone else can read because I cannot see the screen at all on my laptop. Or maybe, I don't know. Yeah, I got it. Can you all hear me now?
Yes.
Hari Om? Yeah, okay.
Yes. Hi.
But I cannot see the tab now, so I will not be able to unmute myself. So if someone else can read, then I can have a
You have
control over
unmuted
my own
yourself,
tab.
Bela.
I'm sorry?
We can hear you. You've unmuted yourself, and you're
Yeah.
able to see the screen.
Yeah, I'm able to see the screen, but the tab has disappeared, the audio tab and video tab.
Doesn't we? Your audio is on. That is why we are
Yeah.
able to hear you.
Yeah, but it has this, so I will not be able to mute myself in case it is required. I will not be able to mute myself. So I will start from the verse 30.
Yeah.
It is something very unusual happening today. I don't know.
Don't worry. Don't worry.
Shamyata.
I'm all right to take on in case you have any difficulty. So
Yeah, yeah, I will just read and we will just see how it is going. Yeah. Hari Om. Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha. So we will start from verse 13. I will just read the verse and then I think we were in 14, right? We were in verse 14. I will just read verse 13 and then we will go to 14. महात्मानस्तु मां पार्थ दैवीं प्रकृतिमाश्रिताः भजन्त्यनन्यमनसः ज्ञात्वा भूतादिमव्ययम्. Arjuna, those of noble heart, on the other hand, who are given to a spiritual disposition, knowing me as the imperishable cause of all beings and elements, and being totally committed to me, seek me. Uh, should I read from Shraddha and Vivek, or we had enough yesterday? I think I will read from the Shraddha and Vivek once again. Yeah. Mahatmanahatu, on the other hand, the Mahatmas seek me. A person whose mind is big, whose heart is imbued with love and compassion is called a Mahatma. That is why all sadhus are called Mahatmas. A sadhu is a person whose practice is to help others. Parakaryam sadhnoti. He does not harm anybody, and whenever possible, he will help another person. Helping is natural to him because he is moved by compassion. That person is a sadhu, a Mahatma. Partha, Arjuna, they have a disposition which is very different from the previous ones we have seen. The word tu, whereas here distinguishes them from those others we saw in the previous verse. And these Mahatmas are Daivim Prakritim Ashritaha. They are people who are given to a disposition in which sattva is predominant. These three prakritis, which he only mentions by name here as Rakshasi, Asuri, and Daivi, he will later take as topics and elaborate upon. Daivi means that which is connected to Deva, the Lord. So they have godly dispositions in which sattva is predominant. It consists of dhamma, self-control, and other qualifications as well as faith in oneself and in the Shastra. Until you know, you require this Shraddha. Shraddha and Vivek work together. This Shraddha is different from a faith which remains with you till death and because of which you hope to reach heaven, etc. In Vedanta, faith in the Shastra is only pending discovery. Until you discover, you assume it is right. It is a presumption, but it is highly desirable. When someone says you are Ananda, the whole, the center of the entire creation and free from all limitations, that is the most desirable. It is exactly what you want to be. That is why you struggle to prove yourself. To whom do you want to prove yourself? In fact, only to yourself. Even if you say it is to someone else, it is only because if in his opinion you are acceptable, then you are acceptable to yourself. That only means in your own estimation, you are nobody. Because the limitations are obvious. If you look at yourself through those limitations, naturally you have to prove yourself. And any attempt is not going to remove limitations. No matter what you achieve, though it can give you a healthy self-esteem, it cannot resolve your sense of limitation. The limited person continues to be limited. That is why a proverb in Tamil says that if your finger swells, there is a limit to how enlarged it can get. It is not going to swell to the size of a pumpkin. Whatever you accomplish, it is always going to be limited. If I am already limited, a few more limited embellishments do not make me free from a sense of limitation. Any attempt by a limited individual will definitely be found wanting. These people who have a disposition characterized by self-control and compassion seek me. What kind of me? They seek me, who is the cause of all living beings, Bhutadim mam. Bhutadi means that which is at the beginning of all elements. Beginning is the cause. So, Bhutadi is the one who is the cause of this world. When he says Bhutadi, the cause of this entire world, you can think that it has undergone a change. Once upon a time, there was Brahman, but now Brahman has become the world. If that is so, only the world is there. There is no Brahman. To make it clear that it is not like that, he says Avyayam, changeless. The cause does not really undergo any change to become the world. The change is apparent. Brahman, the cause of the whole creation, retains its nature because the change is purely in terms of Nama Rupa. It is Mithya. When the creation is Mithya, it requires only a cause that does not subject itself to any change. Bhutadim avyayam mam gnatva bhajanti. Knowing me as the imperishable cause of the creation, they seek me. How do they know Bhagwan in this way? Knowing here is only indirect knowledge, paroksha jnana, from the Shastra and the teacher. Once they have that much knowledge, in order to understand it, they seek. And their seeking is not a part-time affair. These people are ananya manasaha. Their minds are not distracted by anything else. Through Viveka, they have lost interest in dharma, artha, kama. And because of samskara, they seek moksha. Their disposition is one of self-control and compassion. And they have trust in the words of the teacher and the Shastra. Their mumukshutva is the result of all their prayers. The commitment of a seeker. Here, a question can be asked: if this pursuit is to be done without distraction, what am I to do if I am a family person who has to run a household? As a mother or a father, should I pursue Vedanta or take care of my children? Whether you pursue this knowledge alone or pursue it along with fulfilling your duties, what counts is your commitment. If commitment is there, whatever you do, this pursuit will not go. It is something like a person who is in love. He is not going to think of his beloved by appointment. If his whole day is scheduled, one of the items in his schedule is not going to be thinking of his beloved. When someone is in love, he is consumed by that love. Whether he is doing his job or not, his love is not affected. That is called seeking mumuksha, and mumuksha and is what is meant here by being a person who is an ananya manasa. Shankara says such people are not selfish. They don't subscribe to this me and mine philosophy, and they knowingly pursue. It is not simply because someone else whom he respects did it and he is just following in his footsteps. If you follow a beaten track, of course you won't get lost. That is the beauty of it. But here the path is proper inquiry. And if you properly cover all that is to be covered, you cannot but see. Like in arithmetic, if all the steps are followed, the answer must follow. If it is an improper answer, there must be a mistake in the steps. You retrace the steps and correct the mistake. But the correct answer is always the same and certain. That is the track of knowledge. and therefore, knowing full well what they are seeking, they pursue. How do they seek Ishvara? This is explained further by two more verses. Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha dridavratah namasyantascha mam bhaktya nityayukta upasate. Mam satatam kirtayantaha. Those who are always appreciating, inquiring into me. Yatantaha and making the necessary efforts. Dridhavrataha, those whose commitment is firm. Namasyantaha cha mam, and those who remain surrendered to me. Bhaktya, with devotion. Nityayuktaha, who are always united to me. Upasate, they seek me. Mam satatam kirtayantaha yatantaha cha dridhavrataha namasyantaha cha mam bhaktya nityayuktaha upasate. Those who are always appreciating me and making the necessary efforts, whose commitment is firm and who remain surrendered to me with devotion, who are always united to me with a prayerful heart, seek me. Satatam kirtayantaha mam. Satatam kirtayantaha mam. Always appreciating the glories of me, Parmeshwara. They always see and appreciate Ishwara's glory. And his glory is not ordinary. All beings, all things have their being in him, but he is free from all of them. He does not depend upon them for his existence. This is a wondrous thing. He does not undergo any change and at the same time is the whole creation. He does not do anything and at the same time is the creator, sustainer and destroyer of all creation. This is Parmeshwara's glory, and this they appreciate and praise. The word kirtayantaha can also mean vicharayantaha, those who are always inquiring into Ishvara by Shravana, Manana and Nididhyasana. Who are the people who do this? Yatantaha, those who make the necessary efforts. What are the efforts here? The efforts required. Shravana and Manana. Kindly let me know if you want me to repeat. Please unmute and tell me, because yesterday we have already done. So I'm going a little fast. If you feel my speed is fast, please tell me, I can go slow. The efforts required. Shravana and Manana are not enough. They have to be backed up by the right kind of mind, because it is the kind of mind you have that really accounts for knowledge. A mature mind is necessary and is expressed here by the word yatantaha, those who take care of their minds properly. How? Shankara paraphrases the word yatantaha with the following statement. Indriyopasamhara shama dama daya ahimsadi lakshanaiha dharmaiha prayatantah. This is a very clear definition of a sannyasi. Indriya upasamhara means resolution of the sense pursuit. Indriya Upasamhara means resolution of the sense pursuits, not acting upon one's fancies. Naturally, this implies Dhamma at the physical level and Shama at the mental level. One has to have mastery over mechanical ways of thinking and the various moods, etc., to which one is subjected. Instead of coming under the spell of thinking patterns, you are able to see through them. You have a say over them in the sense that you refuse to be led away by them. You do not act upon them. For this, you must have an insight about yourself and also certain qualities which are necessary to enjoy this mastery, like Shama, mastery over the mind, Daya, compassion, and Ahimsa, non injury. All these show the maturity of the person. Compassion can be natural or cultivated. Here it is cultivated compassion because he is making effort, yatna. He tries to be compassionate, and whenever he lacks compassion, looks into what it takes to be compassionate. There is a conscious attempt to maintain this compassion. Compassion is mentioned again and again by Shankara because compassion towards all living beings is a vow that all sannyasis take. Ahimsa, not deliberately hurting another living being, is the greatest vow taken by a sannyasi at the time of sannyasa. This is the one that characterizes him most. All other things like amanitva, adambitva, arjava should also be there because they are all necessary for the maturity of the antakarana required to gain this knowledge. I will just read those shlokas from chapter 13. अमानित्वमदम्भित्वम् अहिंसा क्षान्तिरार्जवम् आचार्योपासनं शौचं स्थैर्यम् आत्मविनिग्रहः इन्द्रियार्थेषु वैराग्यम् अनहङ्कार एव च जन्म मृत्युजरा व्याधि दुःखदोषानुदर्शनम्. Therefore, the word yatantaha refers to those who are making effort to accomplish these virtues. That is why Bhagavan uses the word yatantaha here. A sannyasi is called a yati, the one who makes effort. He has two things to do. One is the pursuit of knowledge, the other is making effort to mature emotionally if he has to. He commits himself to ahimsa and then lives day to day, moment to moment. Any Vedanti becomes an adhikari only when he lives life one day at a time. Otherwise, Vedanta does not work. You plan only for one day. Even a plan for the future is only today's plan. Tomorrow you are ready to revise it. That is the life of a Vedanti. Naturally, there is a certain effort, yatna, for gaining the qualification, adhikaritva, and the pursuit of listening to the Shastra, and so on. Importance of commitment. And they are those whose commitment is firm. Dridhavrataha. Many people are very enthusiastic in the beginning and then quietly withdraw. But those who are Dridhavratas undertake their pursuits with a commitment. Once they undertake something, they commit themselves to it and pursue unless the evidence is totally against it. The moment you see things are not going well for you, you again study your course. What are you heading for? Is it worthwhile? If not, sometimes you have to withdraw and re-equip yourself and then start again. When you make a commitment, always make it small and then do better than what you have committed yourself to. Otherwise, we create unnecessary pressures upon ourselves and feel defeated all the time. Dridhavratas are here, however, are the people who are committed to moksha, so there is no changing the goal. It's a very beautiful quality, Dridhavratas. Vrata is generally translated as vow. Here it is not exactly a vow but a commitment. You take a vow to accomplish a particular task, but here a total change is required. They are committed to the Parama Purushartha called moksha. So the other three Purusharthas, Dharma, Artha, and Kama, do not assail them. I repeat this line, very important. Vrata is generally translated as vow. Here it is not exactly a vow, but a commitment. You take a vow to accomplish a particular task, but here a total change is required. They are committed to the Parama Purushartha called moksha. So the other three Purusharthas, Dharma, Artha and Kama, do not assail them. That is why in the 13th chapter of the Gita, while enumerating the qualities that are to be cultivated by a mumukshu, the Lord Himself mentions Tattvajnana, Artha Darshana, the capacity to see the truth of this knowledge as unfolded by the Shastra as the last of the qualities. I repeat this last line. That is why in the 13th chapter of the Gita, while enumerating the qualities that are to be cultivated by a mumukshu, the Lord Himself mentions Tattvajnana, Artha Darshana, the capacity to see the truth of this knowledge as unfolded by the Shastra as the last of the qualities. These people cultivate an understanding of the fact that the result of the knowledge is moksha. That means they have purushartha nishchaya. That is, what they really seek in life is very clear for them. Then the pursuit gains a direction and anything they do becomes highly meaningful because they understand that moksha is the result of tattvajnana. They have jignasa. It is not merely a desire for moksha without direction. They know for sure that the moksha they seek is in terms of the knowledge of the self alone and nothing else. I repeat the last line. They know for sure that the moksha they seek is in terms of the knowledge of the self alone and nothing else. The entire pursuit is going to be determined by how clear you are about what you are seeking. If the human end is very clear to you, you have a direction. The knowledge and everything else involved becomes something that you love only when this Purushartha Nishchaya is there. I repeat this line. The entire pursuit is going to be determined by how clear you are about what you are seeking. If the human end is very clear to you, you have a direction. The knowledge and everything else involved becomes something that you love only when this Purushartha Nishchaya is there. If the understanding of moksha is hazy, there will be a lot of problems. That is why the Purushartha Nishchaya is mentioned as one of the values for Jnana. So the first eligibility is the Purushartha Nishchaya. Since he has said Adhyatma Jnana, knowledge for which the subject matter is Atma, you can conclude that understanding the Atma as a sinner or as anything else for that matter is Adhyatma Jnana. To avoid that, Tattva Jnana, Artha Darshana is a very important value. This is the clear understanding that knowledge of myself is liberation. It also includes the understanding that nothing else is required. With the help of the Shruti and through my own vichara, in keeping with the Shruti, I realize that any pursuit is going to be limited. This is anityatva nishaya, which results in a certain dispassion, vairagya, and the understanding that self-knowledge is the only way out. I repeat, this is very important. This is the key, secret key Bhagavan has given here. The entire pursuit is going to be determined by how clear you are about what you are seeking. If the human end is very clear to you, you have a direction. The knowledge and everything else involved becomes something that you love only when this Purushartha Nishchaya is there. If the understanding of moksha is hazy, there will be a lot of problems. That is why the Purushartha Nishchaya is mentioned as one of the values for Jnana. Since he has said Adhyatma Jnana, knowledge for which the subject matter is Atma, you can conclude that understanding the Atma as a sinner or as anything else for that matter is Adhyatma Jnana. To avoid that, Tattva Jnana Artha Darshana is a very important value. This is the clear understanding that knowledge of myself is liberation. It also includes the understanding that nothing else is required. With the help of the Shruti and through my own vichara, in keeping with the Shruti, I realize that any pursuit is going to be limited. This is anityatva nishchaya, which results in a certain dispassion, vairagya, and the understanding that self-knowledge is the only way out. That kind of understanding of the Purushartha makes them Dridhavratas. They give up everything because they are free from the three types of desires for progeny, security, and a better situation in the hereafter. They live a life of a mendicant only for Atmagnana, for moksha. They are called Dridha Vratas. So, Yatantah and Dridhavratas, they are clear for their Adhyatma Jnana, which is Anityatva Nishchayatva. They know that the body, mind, intellect are perishable. Grace, anyone wants to share anything? Grace is needed. In all this, the grace of Ishvara is important. Therefore, Lord Krishna says here, Mam Bhaktya Namasyantaha. These are the people who have surrendered to me with devotion. Mam Bhaktya Namasyantaha. These are the people who have surrendered to me with devotion. The whole pursuit is done only in an atmosphere of devotion. In such an atmosphere, you cannot claim credit for any achievement because you recognize so many limitations. Namasyantaha are those who surrender, who have a prayerful heart in their pursuit. Very beautiful. I repeat, grace is needed. In all this, the grace of Ishvara is very important. Therefore, Lord Krishna says here, Mam Bhaktya Namasyantaha. These are the people who have surrendered to me with devotion. The whole pursuit is done only in an atmosphere of devotion. In such an atmosphere, you cannot claim credit for any achievement because you recognize so many limitations. Namasyantaha are those who surrender, who have a prayerful heart in their pursuit. People surrender to different things. Some surrender to money, converting it to Ishvara in the form of Lakshmi or Kubera. They surrender to varieties of things according to their ends they seek, their own likes and dislikes, and their vichara. I repeat, people surrender to different things. Some surrender to money, converting it to Ishvara in the form of Lakshmi or Kubera. They surrender to varieties of things according to their ends they seek, their own likes and dislikes, and their vichara. It is all dependent upon their level of maturity. But here Shankara says that they surrender to the self, the Atma, the one who is the Lord, Isha of the intellect. So beautiful. I read once again. But here Shankara says that they surrender to the self, the Atma, the one who is the Lord, Isha of the intellect. They surrender to that Atma alone because they have placed all they have at the altar of Paramatma. That is the thing to be understood. Or we can take it that they have surrendered to the Lord, who is the creator, sustainer, and destroyer of the entire world, invoking his grace. Ishvara's grace is here, as is your own grace, and the grace of the Shastra and the grace of the Guru. Pursuing Ishvara in an atmosphere of bhakti is very important. That is why it is not an academic pursuit, nor is it a purely religious pursuit, because there is so much vichara, inquiry involved. You are inquiring into the words and their meanings. So it implies grammar, logic, and so on. It looks very academic, but the whole pursuit is value oriented. It is a pursuit in an atmosphere of surrender, bhakti. That is why you cannot separate religion from this pursuit. Even though it is not a set of beliefs, but something that has to be understood, then too Ishvara's grace is necessary here. So Bhagavan says that these people surrender to me with devotion and seek me with a prayerful heart. Namasyantah cha mam bhaktya upasate. This is a very beautiful paragraph. I read once again. Or we can take it that they have surrendered to the Lord who is the creator, sustainer, and destroyer of the entire world, invoking his grace. Ishvara's grace is here, as is your own grace, and the grace of the Shastra and the Guru. Pursuing Ishvara in an atmosphere of bhakti is very important. That is why it is not an academic pursuit, nor is it a purely religious pursuit, because there is so much vichara, inquiry involved. You are inquiring into the words and their meanings. So it implies grammar, logic, and so on. It looks very academic, but the whole pursuit is value oriented. It is a pursuit in an atmosphere of surrender, bhakti. That is why you cannot separate religion from these pursuits. Even though it is not a set of beliefs, but something that has to be understood, then too Ishvara's grace is necessary here. So Bhagavan says that these people surrender to me with devotion and seek me with a prayerful heart. Namasyantaha cha mam bhaktya upasate. So beautifully, Bhagavan is bringing us to the core of bhakti. To recognize Ishvara as karma phala data, the giver of the fruits of action, and Karma Adhyaksha, the one who presides over all karmas is Bhakti. I repeat, to recognize Ishvara as Karma Phaladata, the giver of the fruits of action, and Karmadhyaksha, the one who presides over all karmas, is Bhakti. Any possibility of action is because of Ishvara. So at both levels, that is at level of doing the karma and at the level of receiving the results, you have an appreciation of Ishvara alone. Such a beautiful. Only abiding devotion is adequate. I hope that this previous, I read once again the last paragraph. Please pay attention. To recognize Ishvara as Karma Phaladata, the giver of the fruits of action, and Karmadhyaksha, the one who presides over all karmas, is Bhakti. Please remember. Any possibility of action is because of Ishvara. So at both levels, that is at level of doing the karma and at the level of receiving the results, you have an appreciation of Ishvara. So only with the grace that prasad buddhi comes. And even in doing the action, we do all our karmas as an offering to Bhagavan and receive the results as the prasad from Bhagavan. That is bhakti. Only abiding, anyone wants to share? Only abiding devotion is adequate. This bhakti is abiding for those who are
So, I did get that part, like where he says Ishvara's karma pradata, right? So, he is the one who gives the when you whatever the karma that you give the fruits of the action, which you said the prasada buddhi, right?
correct.
Karma Dhyaksha, one who resides over all karmas, is bhakti. Hmm.
Should I
So,
read once again? I'll just read once again from
so
here.
doing the karma as well as the receiving the results, that is, you have an appreciation of Ishvara. So it happens only because of Ishvara. Is that
Yes.
it?
Yes,
Okay.
and the base is that commitment for that Parama Purushartha called moksha. If there is a commitment, then that dhruti will be there with
Mm.
the grace of Ishvara that you continue that Parama Purushartha,
Mhm.
moksha. If that dhriti is not there, then in between we may be carried over by the indriya and we may be dragged into the material world. But if that dhriti is there, then we continue that moksha prapti. And in doing that also, there is a grace required because in whatever we do uh, as an offering to Lord, whatever karma we do, there will be an attitude, the kind of attitude which we do the karma.
I'm wondering, even to do that karma, that thought happens because of the grace of the Ishvara, right?
Correct,
Yeah.
correct,
So
very
that's what
correct.
I wanted to know. Yeah. Even
Again,
that
there
is
the
true.
Shreyas and Prayas comes. Shreyas
Mm.
over Prayas. We
Yeah.
choose Shreyas because we are committed to that Parama Purushartha, Moksha.
Mhm. Okay, so here, in the last paragraph where you said, um, even you can turn to yourself only as Paramatma and worship that, and you can do that. But the part of this is you at the same time to have this bhakti, we still need that Ishvara's grace and the grace of the Shastra and the Guru. It says,
Correct. Yes. Yes.
mm,
Here it is said the
mm,
grace of Shastra and the Guru.
Guru. And pursuing
Ishvara.
Ishvara,
Yeah.
the atmosphere of bhakti is very important. So we can't take that as a religious thing, and we just do as we normally do all this. Uh,
Mechanically, we cannot do. Yes.
right. Until we mature in that level, then
Correct.
you turn invert your atma and do it. Right now we have to come to that that stage, that higher stage.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry to
And
interrupt.
your suggestion to remember this is so very nice, Dr. Mara. I am little attentive. The Sanskrit, these phrases Bhagwan gives, no? Swamiji here describes Namasyantah cha mam
Yeah.
bhaktya upasate. That
Mhm.
suggestion is so beautiful, Dr. Mara. Whenever I'm reading, I try to remember them.
Yeah, for me, I keep forgetting. Even I read it, and then next time I don't know what this word means. That word means, but at least when we read it again, it will be easier for us. For
Yes.
at least at this point, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll just repeat this paragraph. It is very, very important and very beautiful. Or we can take it that they have surrendered to the Lord, who is the creator, sustainer, and destroyer of the entire world, invoking his grace. Ishwara's grace is here, as is your own grace, and the grace of the Shastra and the Guru. Pursuing Ishvara in an atmosphere of bhakti is very important. That is why it is not an academic pursuit, nor is it a purely religious pursuit, because there is so much vichara, inquiry involved. You are inquiring into the words and their meanings. So it implies grammar, logic, and so on. It looks very academic, but the whole pursuit is value oriented. It is a pursuit in an atmosphere of surrender, bhakti. That is why you cannot separate religion from these pursuit, even though it is not a set of beliefs, but something that has to be understood. Then too, Ishvara's grace is necessary here. So Bhagavan says that these people surrender to me with devotion and seek me with a prayerful heart. Namasyantah cha mam bhaktya upasate. To recognize Ishvara as Karma Phaladata, the giver of the fruits of action, and Karma Adhyaksha, the one who presides over all karmas, is Bhakti. Any possibility of action is because of Ishvara. So at both levels, that is at level of doing the karma and at the level of receiving the results, you have an appreciation of Ishvara. I think we will see this. I have already taken 5 minutes extra. Shamyatam. I will just repeat the shloka, what we did today, and then we will.
Only a small paragraph was left. This only abiding devotion is adequate.
Yes, my dear, but it will that para is very important, the bhakti part. I will repeat tomorrow the whole thing, what I read.
Okay.
महात्मानस्तु मां पार्थ दैवीं प्रकृतिमाश्रिताः भजन्त्यनन्यमनसः ज्ञात्वा भूतादिमव्ययम्. Arjuna, those of noble heart, on the other hand, who are given to a spiritual disposition, knowing me as the imperishable. Kshamita. Arjuna, those of noble heart, on the other hand, who are given to a spiritual disposition, knowing me as the imperishable cause of all beings and elements, and being totally committed to me, seek me. Shraddha and Viveka work together. Please remember these all words: avyayam, bhutadim, avyayam, mam gnatva bhajanti. The commitment of a seeker. Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha dridhavrataha namasyantascha mam bhaktya nityayukta upasate. Those who are always appreciating me and making the necessary efforts, whose commitment is firm and who remain surrendered to me with devotion, who are always united to me with a prayerful heart, seek me. Satatam kirtayantah mam. And Tattvajnana Arthadarshana. They have the commitment for the Parama Purushartha called Moksha. And that they know the fact about the Anityatva Nishaya. And for these all understanding, the grace is required. The grace of Shastra, the grace of self, and the grace of Guru. Only abiding devotion is adequate. We will see, I think we will repeat this tomorrow once again. It is very beautiful paragraph about the bhakti. So with that, we close our eyes and then we will share our takeaways.
Gurudev. The very fact that Bhagwan is Atma is the Maya Dhyakshena Prakritihi Suyate Sacharacharam is what we saw in the previous verses. So he is the creator, sustainer, and destroyer of the universe. What we see as the universe is just Nama Rupa. What he is, the basis, the Satya is him. Everything else is Mithya. So when we are living in this Mithya Jagat, keeping him as the ordainer, sustainer, the creator is what is meant here by that aspect of bhakti, where you look at Ishvara as the Karmadhyaksha and the Karma Phaladata. So it is just attuning ourselves to that Satya aspect. And unless we do that, the difference between a person who's a karma yogi and a person who's ethical. A person who's ethical continues to remain do things which are dharmic, but then he does not have this element of bhakti which is linking him to Ishvara. So he might continue to be a dharmic person and he'll continue in the samsara. But it's only a karma yogi who, with the element of bhakti and this vichara, the viveka that comes along with his pursuit of mumukshutva, the grace of the Lord, grace of the teacher, that he has the capacity to, he has a potential to evolve and become a jnani. Yeah, and plan for one day at a time, a Vedantin. And he's flexible to change it. He's not rigid. Yeah. Let's all share.
But he said no, planning of tomorrow is also in today only.
Correct. He lives one day at a time. He's not making, he's not living in his plans. And in the sense, in the future, what is meant is he's living for the moment, day by day, every day. I think that implies a sense of being in the moment.
For me, it is the self-analysis of a person on the daily basis. What I understood.
Actually, I am very confused always about this thing. Gurudev also means Gurudev also says if we are worrying only, if we are worrying, it is also in the present moment only. Whatever we are thinking, it is in a present moment. But how planning is also in the present moment. Will it be in the consciousness, and it will not affect our thoughts, or it will just drop because we are living day by day, only one day at a time?
See, it is all awareness. No? Yeah, go ahead, whoever started.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention one thing. Planning for the future is different. You are doing it in the present, but living in the future is dangerous. That we need to be more aware. So what here it means that leaves for the day means moment to moment. That doesn't stop you learning from the past and planning for the future. But living in the past and living in the future is not at all conducive. So I think this is what is meant by this being this live for this moment, this day. Jai Gurudev.
It is a self-awareness with which you are living your day. That is the planning you are doing for that day. It is the planning.
Because what happens, immediately leaves for the day or leaves in the moment, we immediately think to kya bank balance FD nahi karna hai kya, anything, like our mind goes up to any extent. It doesn't mean that actually. We need to be more sharp in this understanding. Living in the present moment and leaves for the day, that doesn't mean like animals, uh, how the animals do. We need to little bit do the planning for the future immediate future, long-term future, but that also be in this present moment only. Jai Gurudev.
And the 13th chapter verse, which gives all um, the characteristics of a mumukshu, of a sannyasi actually. That is all the amanitvam, adambitvam, ahimsa, arjavam, and tattva jnanartha darshanam. So he is rooted in that mumukshutva. Dr. Renu says more confused about living one day at a time. Can you clarify more? It's just that you're living a sense of contentment. It is not that you're not ambitious. It is that you, like how Madhuri ji very nicely explained, you may be planning, you're just planning for that day, and you're living in the moment. You're not caught up in worrying about the future. You're taking things as they come. Whatever responsibilities you have to perform, you're doing it with that sense of Ishwararpana Buddhi. And then whatever you're getting, you're taking it as Prasada Buddhi. So basically, you're living the life of a karma yogi. Otherwise, if you're a samsari, you'll only keep worrying. You're coming from the space of limitation, of insecurity, and you're making plans for the future. Oh, if I get this, then I will, I'll be secure. So that becomes a useless pursuit. Whereas a person who is imbued with that bhakti, that devotion and that viveka, that the self is complete. That Vedantin is able to live every day as it comes. No, he's not worried about 10 years ahead or even
Yeah,
1 week ahead.
sorry.
Go ahead.
And he said in the next lines, he is ready to change accordingly.
Yeah, he's flexible.
Yeah.
Because he's coming from the space of, should I say, not really non-doer. There is a little bit of doership there, but he's mainly coming from the space that Ishvara is the one who is the karma dhyaksha. He's got that element of bhakti in him.
But there is a line like tomorrow you are ready to revise it. And what does it implement? Like it is like what day you spent yesterday. So you reflect upon it, that what were the plus and minuses of that day, which like it's that from that I was thinking that it is the
like a self-appraisal
analysis of yourself, that what the day you lived yesterday, you analyze it, and then you revise that day, and you take out your plus and minuses, and then you further move ahead for the next day planning, and you know that this is to be done and this is not to be done. So this is the only planning for a single day. I understood it this way. Maybe I'm wrong.
That is right. That is with respect to yourself. But there are others also, that the situations around you, people around you. So the element of changing your plans according to and revising it according to the situation is what comes to my mind is accepting the situation and people as they are. So you're willing to, you're in that space of total acceptance and responsibility. It's coupled together. So You're living a life of awareness. Basically, you're living a life of awareness, both about your own self, your own inner mindset, what is happening inside of you, as well as you're taking the outside events and situations and accepting that and doing whatever is required. It's not like, again, it's not passive acceptance. It is doing it with a total active acceptance. So I think that is what is meant by this living one day at a time, living life of a Vedantin. And what Loveleen ji has mentioned is not worrying, avoiding worry and anxiousness, about feverishness about tomorrow.
Yeah, basically, may I mean, you live in the present, but at the same time, not dwell on like past or the future so much. But you still have to think about future to some extent, at least, how, I don't know, about the goals or some plan, like you're planning a trip or something. Yeah, you have to know ahead a little bit. But if if it doesn't happen, that shouldn't bother you. We have to, when I say not dwell on it, like you said, not worrying about it so much. But or you spend today's time all planning about future, which is it may or may not happen. So we future is not in our hand, tomorrow is not in our hand, what may happen. But hopefully, things you happen as planned, but it's not always, so.
Like
Yeah,
there was a point that you take small commitment to be dedicated on this path. So I feel that we live moment to moment, but that commitment for taking for our things in everyday life, maybe tomorrow, that is the thought which comes to our mind. Okay, tomorrow I will again be committed, small commitments, and then that leads to a big commitment where we can reach towards our goal, and then the grace also follows. I feel that is the thinking about what we should be doing. Jai Gurudev.
and that very nice. Thank you. And in the, I think, 17th chapter or so, it says, Swakarmana tamabhyarcha siddhim vindati manavaha, right? So you do your daily duties and responsibilities. Do it with that aspect of bhakti as a karma yogi. And that will really take you to the goal. So that is also one aspect of living one day at a time.
The last line we read
Because of
today, that at both levels, the level of doing karma and at the level of receiving the result. So you have that appreciation for Ishvara. So it is like with the Samarpan Bhava and accepting as a prasada whatever is happening and doing your karma according to, like, you take it that whatever is happening, it's because of his wish. So the karma adhyaksha and karma fal data, the last paragraph we read today.
because of the bhakti, he is doing the karma, and only because of his mumukshatva to he is going. His मुमुक्षत्व की वजह से वो जो भी कार्य कर रहा है, मुमुक्षत्व के लिए जो भी कार्य करता है उसकी भक्ति उसमें होती है, इसलिए वो कंटिन्यूअस डे टू डे लाइफ जीता है, ऐसे मुझे लगता है। वो वेदांती का लक्षण हो सकता है।
Yeah. We have about 5 minutes. So I just want to check whether any of us is ready with giving the summary for verse 36 of chapter 6.
It is a small this thing,
Yeah.
though I read it, but it is a continuation of the previous verse only, 35. That how one who does not, you can chant the verse.
Yeah, okay. Asamyatatmana yogo dushprap iti me matihi vashyatmana tu yatata shakyo vaptumupayataha.
So the
I'll just read this
yeah.
Pratipadata. Asamyata atmana, by the one for whom the mind is not mastered, yoga, dushprapaha, difficult to gain, iti, thus, my, matihi, vision, two, whereas, vashyatmana, by the one whose mind is mastered, yatata, by the one who makes effort, upayataha, with the proper means, that is, practice and objectivity, avaptum shakyaha, it can be gained. Asamyata atmana yogah dushprapah iti me matihi tu vashyatmana yatata upayatah avaptum shakyah. So you can go ahead and read the meaning and then give your summary.
It is the yoga is difficult to gain for the one by whom the mind is not mastered. This is my vision. Whereas it can be gained by the one whose mind is mastered, who makes effort with the proper means, that is practice and objectivity. In the last verse, Bhagavan says that it is because of that Asamshayam what was the verse? Asamshayam Mahabahu. So because of that doubt he had, so he was not the object was not clear. But in this he says that one who has the abhyasa, who has one who does not practice meditation or abhyasa, who does not have this vairagya, that is the asamshyatmana
Asamyata atmana. Yeah.
Asamyata atmana. This means that he does not practice meditation and he does not have that vairagya in him. And because of this difficulty, this dushprapa, that is, and this, because of this, the mind is not mastered, and he is it is and for him that that yoga which is discussed here, that the capacity to see the sameness in all the beings, that is the samdarshana bhava, that will not be incultivated, like the capacity to see sameness in all the beings will not be there in that type of person who does not have that vairagya abhyasa and his mind is not mastered. So it is by the practice of the abhyasa and vairagya only that the mind is brought into our own control. And this is why he says in the next line, Vashya Atmana. So and such person, there will be he will be an alert person. And this alertness is, until unless this alertness is not there, he will not be able to gain mastery over his mind. Vashyatmana tu yatata. And I think that Shakyo
Shaktum upayatah.
Upayatah.
Yeah.
And that is the main was that until unless he has that abhyasa and vairagya, he will, and he lives with an alert mind, he will not be able to be in that samdarshana bhava. In that this samdarshana bhava is that yoga he's talked about, that he is having the capacity to see sameness in all the beings which exist.
Yeah. That is
Yeah,
Arjuna's question in the beginning, right? That's what he says. He says,
Yeah.
you're talking of the samatva bhavana, this how I'm not able to because my mind is so agitated. And then Krishna goes on to give he agrees with Arjuna that the mind is agitated and it's difficult to control. But with abhyasa and vairagya, you can master your mind. And I think in this
and
verse,
only one part was there, that the alertness, the person should be alert. Only then will be like he'll be able to maintain his, he will be able to master his mind in to attain that vision.
yeah, that's the whole thing. No, all the practices we do, it brings up that awareness. Awareness is the key. Awareness of what is happening in our mind also. There are so many people who may live their life without even knowing what is going on in their mind. Whereas for people who have been practicing meditation or some form of spiritual practice, it be it Sudarshan Kriya or meditation or even Japa, there is that element of awareness. They're able to see that little distance between them and their thoughts, their feelings coming up, their emotions coming up. So that awareness is the key. And I think that is what is the result of this abhyasa. And with that objectivity, you're able to distance yourself and not take that shobhanadhyasa, not put up, no, not superimpose shobhanadhyasa on different things. So coupled with these two together, abhyasa and vairagya, you can have a say over your mind. It is like you're a witness to the mind, that is all those waves of thoughts come up and go down, and you are able to witness that. And you're not acting upon every thought that comes. You're able to make a decision with the viveka that you have. What should you act upon, what you don't act upon. Yeah, I think very nice. Thank you, Dr. Savita. We'll go through the PDF tomorrow. And
I wanted to state here that most of the people are working in modern times in the corporate world, and usually it is time-bound completion of project or target completions, etc. The mind is so disturbed. So with this sadhana and knowledge that we have, one end of the spectrum is the disturbances in the mind. And with this sadhana and knowledge, you go to clarity in the mind. When the mind is clear, then all the actions can be performed. In the corporate world, they say soft skills are required to the extent of 80%, whereas your whatever you learned in engineering or whichever medium that you're working in the corporate world, IT technology and all, requirement is only 20%. It is soft skills, your communication skills, etc., which is required. So that sincerity in action will come when there is clarity in the mind. And that comes through knowledge and sadhana that you do. See, even from a point of view of a student who's studying in school, some children study at the last moment. Then, therefore, they want to study for the whole night. And they are low in energy. But if they were to do just a simple thing like Bhastrika, perform it 15 to 20 times, three rounds each time, they would get instant burst of energies, which would not make them low on energy when they have to go to give their exams, even if they were studying through the night. So that clarity in mind is very important, and that feverishness should not be there. In the present moment, we may plan for the future. Corporate world, we call it short-term goals, objectives and goals, long-term planning. So all that is there. But it's just like even if you have to go to a village, you plan, okay, I have to go in May. In India, if you try to go to book your tickets in May, you will not get it. So you may go and buy it 2 months before March or April. But then don't be feverish, I'm going to my village, I'm going to my village, I'm going to my village all the time in the present moment. Bought your ticket, you have planned for the future, and okay, when it's time to go, go. But in the present moment, concentrate on your studies or whatever. If you're working, you're working. The same thing in the spiritual world, we extrapolate it. Jai Guru.
Yeah, thank you, Percy ji. So we'll close today. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat Shri Krishna Arpanamastu.